Hello and welcome to episode 88 of the Momony podcast and another listener series episode. Happy Thursday. I am loving some of the people that have been contacting me to be guests on my show for my listener series. And that, the next episode could be you. So if you have a story, it could be about anything. It could be your story, but it has something to do with, money, life, balance. Get in touch with me. I am always looking for new listener series guests, and I really want to feature people that have some great topics to share. So just shoot me an email, jessica@jessicamorehouse.com, and we can see if there's a space for you. But for this episode, I interviewed Christina Proctor, and she is a style coach, something that I think the last time I heard that was kind of, what was that? The Do Not Wear, or what's that show called? What Not to Wear. Just figured it out. What Not to Wear. I used to freaking watch that all the time. That's pretty much kind of what Christina's all about. It's basically figuring out, helping people figure out their style, their personal style, but also how to do it on a budget, which I love. So that's kind of what we're talking about in this episode, how she got started. This is a side hustle for her. So it's a way to make extra income, but she's also helping people in a really cool way, and how she does it without the whole, you need to wear designer stuff or you need to buy a bunch of stuff. It's really not about that when it comes down to it, which I learned in this episode. I had no idea because I'm definitely not a style guru whatsoever. It's really about buying quality pieces that last you years so you can maintain them and all that kind of stuff. So we get into all of that stuff. There's also, she had some really cool resources on her website. So I'm going to share links to all of those in the show notes, jessicamorehouse.com/88, but also talk about those near the end of this episode. So without further ado, here is my interview with Christina Proctor. Thank you, Christina, for joining me on the show. I'm so glad you wrote into me and that we're connecting for another listener series episode. I'm excited that you're here.
Oh, I'm excited too. I love listening to the podcast, so this is going to be lots of fun.
It is. Okay, so before we jump into what you're doing currently, I'd love to know a little bit of your background, who you are, what you do, and how... I guess what kind of drew you to listen to my personal finance podcast, because you're very much in the kind of style niche.
Yeah. So I'm born and raised here in Waterloo, Ontario, and I love it. There's such a great entrepreneurial spirit here, which I
for
know
sure.
A lot
the
of
tech
people,
stuff.
Yeah, exactly. So a lot of people are very interested in starting their own thing, and it's also really up and coming. So there's a lot of opportunities to, just try something and see how it goes. And there's a lot of support for entrepreneurs and that sort of thing. And back in 2013, I actually started writing a local fashion blog called Wear Out There, because there was this missing piece I saw in the community, that there wasn't anyone who was kind of interviewing local shop owners, sharing their stories, because they're very entrepreneurial as well. And through that, I grew my following a little bit, and I actually have just recently launched it into a business. But through my experiences working with individuals, sharing personal style knowledge with people who wrote in, and teaching them where to shop locally. So it's just back in November, actually 2016, that I launched it, and it's been great. So I still work full time, and this is just a side business, but I'm really enjoying it, and it's been a lot of fun. So I would definitely encourage anyone who has any sort of interest in starting their own side business to just give it a try.
I know. That's I think the biggest piece of advice, and also just like, it's so simple, and yet most people are just afraid to try something new and to put themselves out there. Like, especially with the blog, you're really, putting yourself out there, your thoughts and your ideas, and you're afraid of being like, what do people think? But I think that's awesome that you started with a blog, and look what it's turned into. It's turned into a business. I'd be so curious to know what got you into fashion. Like, were you always interested in fashion and developing your personal style and stuff like that?
I was. So I used to do modeling in Toronto back when I was a teenager and that sort of thing. But what really drew me specifically to the style piece is kind of the personal psychology and the impact it has on your confidence and self-esteem. And I can say, growing up as a young girl, that's something that I really struggled with, was my self-esteem. And I just wanted to find a way to help other women as well, really embrace who they are. And I think especially for millennials, there's a tough transition I found from moving from my kind of high school, college years into working full time, and my wardrobe had to catch up with that.
Yep.
So I really wanted to educate people where to shop even on a local budget, and how to build a wardrobe that actually works for you. And will help you reach your goals. Because especially where I live, and there is a lot of tech companies, it's a really informal environment, but that can be tricky to dress for, the whole business casual or jeans to work kind of thing. So you kind of have to express yourself as well, and use your style as a way to reach your goals. So I always love the phrase though, dress for the job that you want, because it's so true.
So true. I mean, I remember it was the last job I had, the one that I just left when I first started, because it was very corporate environment and wasn't used to that. Usually the style at my previous jobs were jeans and like maybe a nice top or a t-shirt. And if you did kind of dress up a little bit because you just wanted to, there's always kind of a running joke. It's like, oh, does someone have a job interview? And they're like, no, I just thought I'd dress up.
No, I just found a great job here.
Yeah, I know. But so at this job, I was sort of excited to have the opportunity to, dress a bit more formal, wear heels every day, kind of splurge and get some nice office dresses, because I never had the opportunity to do that. Yeah. But the one thing that I found difficult, and we could talk about this, is, and I think this is a big reason why I never really got into the whole fashion realm, because I always thought I just couldn't afford it. It seemed like to keep up with, the new styles or trends, you're spending a lot of money. Like, what are some, in your experience and your knowledge of the fashion, industry and everything, like what's the best way to kind of, have a personal style, but not spend too much money, I guess?
Yeah. So I always say that the key thing for developing your personal style is that, I guess I would say that dressing is just as much of an art as it is a science. And I focus a lot more on, with my clients specifically, on teaching them what will actually work for their body shape. So focusing a little bit less on the trends, because I find a lot of times I'll look at fashion magazines and it's not really relatable to the general individual, but then also a lot of the trends are very exaggerated and they just won't work on every body shape. So then you get into this kind of cycle there where you're buying all these trendy pieces, but you never wear them because they just don't suit your style. So the key things for developing your own style is to know what your body shape is, number one. So take your measurements and figure out what one of the body shapes you fall into. And there's lots of great articles online where you can find that. Then the second thing is to know what your colors are. So what colors really bring out your complexion and your features.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
I don't think I know my color. I know the ones that definitely don't work, because I'm very pale and sometimes I blush. So I try to steer away from like reds or oranges or yellows. They just do not look good.
Yeah. And you know what? Another thing too, and I mean, I learned this through my studying to be a style coach here, is that individuals can actually wear any color of the rainbow. It really depends more on what the actual shade or tone of the color is. So so I would recommend you go and get a color analysis done, because once you've done it once, and test yourself, get tested again every couple years.
Is there a website or where would I do this? Because I'm absolutely going to do a color analysis. That sounds amazing.
I'm sure in your region, if you just Google like color analysis, someone will pop up.
Okay. I mean, I'm going to do that.
Bigger than Waterloo, so there has to be someone there.
That's
and then
such a great idea.
Pieces are to know what your actual stuff, what your goals are. Yeah. Because, you have to know what your lifestyle is like. So kind of figure out where you want to go, like especially in your situation, you're starting a new business. Just take a look at your wardrobe and actually take note of like the pieces that you need, that essential pieces to kind of get you where you want to go.
I know. I feel like, this is a critical point for me, because I had basically my wardrobe for the past 2.5 years was mainly like, I would definitely invest in pieces for work to look professional and, have the, wear the, kind of style you want for the job and everything like that, which is great. It was very simple. I knew exactly what to get. But now I work at home and I'm like, oh, all my wardrobe is just stuff that, it's great if I'm going to meet someone for a meeting or be on TV or something like that. I'm covered. But when it comes to day to day, I really don't have anything. And it's weird. It's like now I have to figure out what my casual attire is. I used to get away with, just having a couple items like some jeans and some t-shirts for the weekends, but otherwise I didn't really invest in that.
Yeah.
So that's like a whole new adventure I have to figure out.
It'll be fun though. So once you know your colors and your body shape, you'll be good to go.
I know.
And then some tips as well for saving money while shopping is definitely a huge trend, especially in my community, is to shop consignment. There are a ton of great consignment stores out there. And I can say growing up, I used to be so anti this sort of thing, but it's the whole environmentally friendly piece as well coming back. There's awesome stuff that you can get for like really affordable prices. And not only that, if you turn it around and whenever you clean out your own wardrobe, you can actually go and consign pieces as well and make some money that way. So I always do that with my clients when we organize their wardrobes.
That's a good idea. And I've actually I've always heard about it and thought about it, but I've never actually done that. And there's so many great, where I live in Toronto, there's so many great consignment shops. Yeah. I've just never even given it a chance. That's a really good idea.
Yeah, there's tons. And they all go through your stuff and only pick out the best. So, and there's some consignment stores that are geared more towards younger women, working women. So you just find your fit and I'm sure you'll have a lot of luck that way. So I love to do that. And also always shop with a list. That's something I've learned because I love shopping. So this is new for me and I'm working on it. But I always shop with a list. So when I work with clients and also with myself, I'll go through their wardrobe and we'll like count the number of t-shirts they have and just really identify any gaps in the wardrobe and then create an actual shopping list. So when they're out, they're able to just look for those pieces. And that kind of keeps you from buying so many bags if you don't need them or so many shoes or something like that. It just keeps you really focused. So that's another way to save money as well.
Absolutely. One thing that I always have trouble with, and again, this is me like never having really figured out what my personal style is when I do go shopping and say I know what items I need to get, I always seem to pick the same colors or the same style. Like I very rarely try something new. Like I'm always kind of like, I really like, dark blues and turquoise. And I always go there. And then I come home, I'm like, oh my God, I basically already own this dress.
Yeah, I know.
What is a way that I can get over that hump?
Okay, so definitely what I would do is take a little bit of time to identify what your personal style actually is. So there's 5 different personalities. So there's lots of quizzes you can do. I mean, I have one as well.
Oh,
but, so you identify, most people fall into one of these 5 style personalities. So one is classic, one is creative, romantic, dramatic, and natural. And then look in that spectrum and find a celebrity that kind of has a style similar to something you'd like to emulate and just see what they have and try and mix up your pieces and pull things from your wardrobe in a fresh way as well, kind of based on what they're already wearing as well. So that's one way to kind of branch out and just look. Pinterest is amazing for style.
I was just thinking of Pinterest. I'm like, I'm going to start a Pinterest board.
Yeah, exactly.
Right after this.
Well, I was going to say that's such a good exercise because there's so many outfits on there that you can just pull together a whole bunch of ideas really fast and you'll be able to figure out what your personality is and then just actually use those as outfit inspiration. Just mix it up a little bit. I'm sure you already have all the basic pieces that you need. So even investing a little bit more in some fun accessories here and there, you really don't need a lot.
No, yeah. And that's another thing with the accessories. And maybe this is part of my personal style or it's just like something I've just never really gotten into is like, it's only in the last year that I started like actually buying accessories. Sometimes I'm just like, who needs it? But they really do like, kind of elevate maybe a boring outfit into like, ooh, and it's so funny. It's like whenever I do wear, I don't know, like some earrings or a necklace, especially, I'll always get comments on, oh, you look nice, or is that a new necklace? Which I actually don't mind. I like the attention, but it's funny when I don't wear accessories, it's like no one gives a crap.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Yeah, no, they definitely pulled the whole outfit together. And I could even say a couple years ago, my boyfriend and I went backpacking Europe. So I lived out of a backpack and I relied on my accessories to like make me feel like my outfits were put together because I had so few possessions that I don't know, I just needed that to take it to the
you didn't want to look
level.
like wearing the same outfit every single day. It's like, no, it's
Exactly. But there's
new
something
scarf.
in that. There's something in that too, where it's like you can have your basic pieces and then you just throw on a couple different accessories and no one will even know that you're wearing the same outfit.
It's true.
So that's another way to save money is just buy things that you love and remix them in different ways with other pieces that you have.
Absolutely. One question I have, since you did start your own blog that was focused on fashion, I'm always so curious with bloggers that are fashion bloggers, how do they start out, and still kind of be on a budget? Like for you, was it that you were kind of just writing about, what was going on in Waterloo and also your style, or you just see like all these fashion bloggers and they have a new outfit and they're taking a beautiful photo of themselves? I'm like, how do they afford all of these new clothes?
Yeah. I actually didn't buy too many new clothes when I was writing my blog, but what I mostly focused on was sharing the local shop owner stories and different things like that. But I would go there and, sometimes you'd get a little present or something like that, which is always great, not expected at all. But yeah, it was really fun. And I did use some of the money that I made from, I actually used to write like a local fashion column and a little bit for magazines. So I kind of could use that to purchase clothes that way. But yeah, it's an interesting field to be in because you do feel like you have to look great all the time, especially because you're talking about fashion. So you do have to spend a little bit more on pieces that are unique and that you love. So I personally love to go to vintage stores. That's a really fun place for me to shop and get things that are good quality and just really unique.
Yeah, I think there's definitely, if anyone's listening and thinking of starting a fashion blog, I feel like there's definitely an opportunity for more people to start like frugal fashion blogs, or like, I feel like that's way more interesting than just seeing, some beautiful person wearing all of these designer clothes and no one knows how they, it's like, I'd be more interested in like, where did you go that I could afford to buy those clothes?
I know. And I have to say, like, I just watched the documentary on Netflix a couple weeks ago, the minimalism one. And totally. Yeah. I just want to downsize on everything. And my philosophy with shopping is always to buy things that I love that are of higher quality. And I've loved local shopping. So that's where I shop as well. But just shop for fewer pieces. Honestly, you can get by with a lot fewer items. And I found over the years, I spent so much money on useless pieces that, didn't work for me. And then I would just get rid of them. And it's just kind of like a wasteful cycle.
Absolutely. I used to be really bad where, when I saw a sale, because I don't honestly really like shopping too much. It's like a need. I'll do it when I need something. But before, if I were at the mall or whatever, I would always try to find a sale. And then I would try to like make the piece work when it probably didn't work because I liked the price point. Yeah. And then, of course, I would never wear it. I've done that with so many items that I thought, I can make this work because it's such a good deal and I'm such a cheap ass. So, and then it's like I'm actually wasting money because I don't actually wear it. And there's been so many times where, I've had to kind of, donate clothes that I'm like, this just doesn't fit. I don't know why I bought it. It's important.
It's definitely a vicious cycle that we get into. So I think it's really important to just invest a bit of time and research what your personal style is and just figure out what those basic elements of yourself, your colors, and your body shape are. And then from there, you can really start to build and have fun again with style. Because I find sometimes it can get so complicated when it's really such a personal thing. And it's a fun thing too.
I know it needs to be more fun. I usually get stressed out when it's like, I have to, I have to meet some people and I don't know what to wear, but I need to, maybe it's all about, yeah, like you said, simplifying it. And when you kind of have less things to choose from, it's less overwhelming and a little bit more fun because you're like, well, I only have 3 earrings, so we're going to go with that one.
Exactly. Yeah. You can get by with so much less, which is great for
It's
money
true.
saving too.
Exactly, exactly. So I'm so curious since you work full time, but you've got your own side hustle. Do you have plans? Like, what are your plans for the side hustle? Just to keep on growing to see where it goes?
Yeah, so I just as I just started in November with the business,
Mm-hmm.
and I've already started working on clients, and I have a lot more group workshops booked as well.
Oh, that's
But I'm
great.
hoping kind of by the end of the year, I just find that I work pretty much 24/7. That I hoping by the end of the year that I'll be able to kind of rather go down to part-time
Mm-hmm.
hours and build the business that way, or leave full time fully. It's hard. It is hard to balance, but
It
it's
is.
something that I think everyone and every millennial should think about is starting their own side business because
Mm-hmm.
sometimes it is hard in your 9 to 5 job that you're using to kind of pay the bills to actually find your passion and
Mm-hmm.
build something and create a life that you really love and that you're passionate about. But in
Mm-hmm.
today's day and age with so much technology, you can get paid now to do almost anything that you're interested in.
I
So
know it's probably the easiest time to start your own business because you can do everything online. You can find clients online. You just really need a website and then to just kind of market yourself. And I'm a big proponent, obviously, of starting your own side hustle as a way to, and it doesn't have to turn into your full-time job, but I think
no,
it's nice to have that extra stream of income. It's definitely allowed me to afford, trips and saving more money and, helped us buy our place and everything like that. But it also, yeah, gave me a nice outlet to be creative when I maybe wasn't, there wasn't an opportunity at my 9 to 5. So props to you for, I feel you. It is not easy to have, basically 2 jobs, but it's also quite fulfilling to, yeah, pursue something that you've always wanted to pursue.
it totally is. And I know for me, it's been a couple of years that I've been thinking about starting the business. So a big thing for me was um, looking and thinking about what my savings goals actually were. So I saved money to
Mm-hmm.
so that I was ready to start this business, and I would have enough money that I could afford all the startup expenses without going into
Mm-hmm.
any debt. So I think that's kind of a big lesson that I've learned is that you do have to prepare, and and sometimes it takes time.
It does. Mm-hmm.
You should be looking like 2 or 3 years down the road and saying, where do I want to be financially by then? So
Absolutely.
so yeah, I know my boyfriend and I are looking to buy a house as well this
Mm-hmm.
year. So that's something that takes a lot of time, and you won't get there unless you start saving
Yep.
right now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, that's exciting. As a new homeowner, I hope you find, a place to call yours. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of work, and a lot of
I
stress, but
know.
so far I also really like it.
Oh my God. I have to say, like, I started listening to your podcast originally because I was first of all, it's amazing to meet a Canadian personal finance blogger because
Yay.
I could not find any. I think I actually Googled like top top Canadian personal finance bloggers and podcasts because that's what I
Yeah.
was going through. And
Yeah.
yeah, you popped up there, which is
Yes.
really great. And I wanted to know, and you had an interview with Gail Van
Oh
Oxlade,
yeah.
and
Love Gail.
I use her budget. I used to watch her on
Mm-hmm.
TV growing up.
Mm-hmm.
I just, over the Christmas break, because I'm getting prepared to be a homeowner, I went to the
Mm-hmm.
library and I took
Mm-hmm.
out 2 of her books and I read those. So I don't
Mm-hmm.
know if they thought I had a debt problem or something because I wasn't buying them and I just kept going and taking out these books, but I learned a lot.
I know. She's amazing.
I also really liked that book. Oh, what's it called? Your Money or Your Life by Vicki Robin. That was
I've
a
heard
really
that
good one. One of your former
guests mentioned
interviewees
it.
mentioned that, and I was like, what an
Your money.
interesting idea. And that's totally changed the way I've been thinking about money as well. Thinking of the
Nice.
value of it versus the time, and you
Mm-hmm.
actually end up making a lot more money
Mm-hmm.
throughout. your career than you even realize. It just goes all over the place, right?
I know.
So once you start tracking it, then it's when you,
Oh, it's a game changer
oh
for
my God,
sure.
I
Oh, yeah.
know. I just started using Mint and that's been
Mm-hmm.
really great. So
Absolutely, absolutely. So before I let you go, where can we find you? What is your website? And I will absolutely link to that quiz that you mentioned that you have. That's about figuring out. Is it? Yeah, it's figuring out what your style is, right?
yeah, I can send you it as well. So
Okay,
I'll do
perfect. I'll
that
include that in the show
after.
notes. And your website is.
www.whereoutthere.ca.
Thank you, Christina, for joining me on the podcast. It was a pleasure chatting with you. And that was episode 88 with the wonderful Christina Proctor. You can check out her website and what she's all about, what she's doing at whereoutthere.ca. Where is spelled WEAR. Haha, very clever. So whereoutthere.ca is Christina's website. And I am going to include a lot of stuff that we talked about and some of her personal or style personality questionnaires and all that kind of cool stuff in the show notes. So make sure to go to jessicamoros.com/88 for all of that info. Before I let you go, of course, I want to remind you, if you have a story, please, and you want to be on my show, because who wouldn't? It's super fun. Just shoot me an email, jessica@jessicamoros.com. I'm absolutely always looking for new guests for my listener series, and maybe the next guest could be you. Second of all, I've probably mentioned this a few times, but probably not enough times as I should, because I'm really bad at it. I have a private Facebook group called the Money Life Balance Group, and it's all about having a safe, encouraging space for people to come together to talk about money, life, and balance. What do you think? So if you want to join my group, we're over 500 strong, growing quickly. Please go to facebook.com/groups/Money Life Balance. Again, I will link to this in the show notes, but I want to see you in there. There's a lot of awesome people, lots of awesome conversations going on. And I would love to see you in there. And one last thing before I go, I would love to share some awesome resources that I've made. There's some things that I've spent a lot of time on to make your lives better when it comes to organizing your money, your life, adding more balance to your life, all that kind of stuff. So make sure to check out jessicamorehouse.com/resources to check some of those out for free. Do it. You will not be disappointed. Thank you so much for joining me for